Hi there, and welcome back for Session 6. Cars, Transport, and Travel, Part 2. If you joined me for Session 5, you already know today's rhythm, but if this is your first time here, no worries at all, it's simple. Same 5 parts as always: vocabulary, listening, reading, writing, and speaking, plus an optional continue learning section right at the end. Today we're building on words 11 through 20, everything from vehicle and journey, right through to board. If you've ever had a journey completely thrown off by a delay, you're going to enjoy relating to more of this than you'd expect. Let's get moving. 10 more words today, continuing straight on from vehicle, all the way to board. Tap the speaker icon on each word to hear it pronounced. Then open meaning and synonyms, and example sentences, to see it working in 3 different sentence types. There's also a practice with me button on every single word. Press it, and they'll walk you through the word. Vehicle. Vehicle. A machine, usually with wheels and an engine, that is used to transport people or goods from one place to another. The company replaced its entire fleet of vehicles last year. Electric vehicles became more affordable, and sales rose sharply across the country. Although hybrid vehicles cost more upfront, many drivers find that lower fuel bills make up the difference within a few years. Journey. Journey. An act of traveling from one place to another, especially over a long distance. The journey to the coast took almost 6 hours. The journey was long, but the scenery made it worthwhile. Because the mountain roads were closed for repairs, the journey ended up taking twice as long as we had originally planned. Destination. Destination. The place to which someone or something is traveling or being sent. Bali remains a popular holiday destination. The flight reached its destination on time, and passengers cleared customs quickly. Although the resort was marketed as a peaceful destination, the constant construction noise disappointed many visitors. Departure. Departure. The act of leaving a place, especially at the start of a journey. Our departure was delayed by nearly 2 hours. The departure was postponed, and passengers waited anxiously in the lounge. Because a sudden storm grounded several aircraft, our departure had to be rescheduled for the following morning. Traffic. Traffic. The vehicles moving along a road, or the general movement of people and goods from place to place. Traffic was unusually heavy on the way to the airport. Traffic slowed to a crawl, and many drivers arrived late for work. Although the new bypass was built to reduce traffic downtown, congestion actually increased on nearby streets. Route. Route. A way or course taken in order to get from a starting point to a destination. We chose the coastal route instead of the motorway. The route was scenic, and we stopped several times to take photographs. Because the usual route was closed for construction, drivers were forced to take a longer road through the hills. Passenger. Passenger. A person, other than the driver or crew, who is traveling in a vehicle, ship, or aircraft. The bus can carry up to 50 passengers. Passenger numbers dropped during the pandemic, and many airlines cut their schedules. Although the airline promised extra legroom, most passengers complained that the seats felt just as cramped as before. Delay. Delay. A period of time by which something is late or postponed, or the act of making something late. The flight suffered a 2-hour delay. Heavy snow caused widespread delays, and several trains were cancelled entirely. Because the signal failure caused such a lengthy delay, many commuters chose to walk the remaining distance instead of waiting. Sustainable. Sustainable. Able to continue over time without causing lasting damage to the environment or using up resources. Cycling is a sustainable way to travel short distances. Sustainable transport options expanded rapidly, and car use in the city centre declined. Although switching to sustainable transport initially required significant investment, the long-term reduction in emissions justified the cost. Board. Board. To get on a form of transport, such as a plane, train, bus, or ship. Passengers began to board the plane at gate 14. Boarding started early, and the flight departed exactly on schedule. Because boarding had already begun by the time we reached the gate, we had to rush to catch our flight. Excellent work getting through all 10 words. Vocabulary really is the toughest part, so nice job. Time to listen. Part A is a short warm-up script using a handful of today's words, with 2 easy questions to check you caught the gist. Part B is longer, styled just like a real IELTS listening question, with a multiple-choice question, a fill-in-the-blank, and a short answer, all in one script about a city's redesigned bus network. My tip stays the same as always. Try covering the script before you press play, so you're genuinely listening rather than just reading along. Every weekday, hundreds of passengers board the express bus at the main terminal, beginning a journey that would take 3 times as long by private vehicle. Even during heavy traffic, the dedicated bus route rarely suffers any real delay. Welcome back to Getting There. When the city of Merrydale redesigned its bus network last spring, planners promised passengers a faster journey to almost any destination downtown. The plan replaced several overlapping lines with a single high-frequency route, and dedicated lanes meant that buses no longer shared space with private vehicles stuck in traffic. Before the redesign, a typical departure from the northern suburbs could suffer a delay of 20 minutes or more whenever congestion built up near the bridge. Today, drivers say the same route now runs almost exactly on schedule, since the dedicated lane keeps buses moving even when the roads beside them are gridlocked. City officials described the project as part of a wider push towards sustainable transport, noting that thousands of commuters who once boarded their own cars each morning now choose the bus instead. Passenger numbers have nearly doubled within a year, and officials expect the trend to continue as more residents realize how reliable the new service has become. Let's go through Part B together. Question 1 is B. A dedicated lane kept the buses separate from the congested traffic nearby. That's exactly what let them stay on schedule. For multiple choice like this, listen for the moment the speaker explains a cause. That's usually where your answer is hiding. Question 2 needs one word, and it's doubled. Passenger numbers have nearly doubled within a year. And question 3 is sustainable transport, in no more than 3 words, exactly as the script says it. Notice how naturally that phrase gets repeated near the end. The recording often reuses its own key phrase right before wrapping up, so listen closely there. Great listening today, that script had a lot packed into it. Now, reading. Tap Clean Passage to read Elena's story about swapping her car for a bicycle. Notice all the highlighted keywords, they're every one of today's 10. Read it once at a comfortable pace, then work through 3 different question types below. Matching information, multiple choice, and summary completion, just like you'd see in the real exam. Once you've had a proper go, I'll walk you through exactly why each answer is correct. So, here's the breakdown. Questions 1 through 3 ask you to match information to a paragraph. Question 1 is paragraph A, where Elena's arrival becomes consistent. Question 2 is paragraph C, about complaints dropping on an unchanged road. And question 3 is also paragraph C, where the 2 statistics are compared side by side. Questions 4 through 6 are multiple choice. 4 is B, Elena expected the opposite of what actually happened. 5 is C, the planners acknowledged the concerns but kept expanding. And 6 is B, a temporary decline in trade. And for the summary in 7 and 8, the answers are fell and next, taken directly from the passage. My tip for matching information: skim each paragraph for its one main point first, then match the question to that point, rather than rereading the whole passage for every single question. On to writing. 3 tasks today. An academic diagram showing a passenger's journey through an airport, written in proper IELTS exam language. A general letter about a journey that didn't go to plan, and a cause and effect essay on traffic congestion, where I'll give you the introduction and the first body paragraph, and leave the second one for you as homework. Write your own answer first, in your notebook, before you reveal anything. Let's start with task 1. For a process diagram like this one, your job is simply to describe the stages in order, and point out anything that changes. Here is the time each stage takes. Notice the model doesn't describe every single stage in detail, it captures the overall shape. Starting point, ending point, and the one clear pattern, that the time needed grows longer right up until boarding. That's exactly the kind of concise overview response that scores well, even in just 1 or 2 sentences. For a short letter like this one, the trap is trying to pack in too many details. Notice the model sticks to one clear chain of events. The delay, its cause, and its effect on other passengers, linked together with because and while, rather than several short disconnected sentences. One well-linked sentence like that reads far more naturally than 3 separate ones. Take a good look at how the introduction and first body paragraph are built before you attempt your own. The introduction simply restates the problem and previews what's coming, nothing more. Then body paragraph 1 works through the causes one at a time, linking them with phrases like in addition and furthermore, rather than just listing them. Now it's your turn. Use the effects brainstorm above to write body paragraph 2 yourself, and try to match that same linking style. Post it in the Facebook group if you'd like a second pair of eyes on it. Great writing work today. Now, speaking. Part 1 asks how you usually get around. Part 2 has you describing a journey that didn't go as planned. And Part 3 gets into whether public transport should be made free. Say your answers out loud, even if nobody's listening. It really does make a difference when it comes to the real IELTS exam. I usually board the bus near my house. It's genuinely convenient because the route runs frequently, so my journey almost never suffers a delay. Last year I was traveling by train to a coastal destination for a short holiday. Our departure was fine, but heavy traffic on the tracks caused a 2-hour delay, so all the passengers had to wait at the station before we could board a replacement vehicle. It was frustrating at first, but the rest of the journey along the new route turned out to be surprisingly scenic. I partly agree, because removing the cost of a ticket would likely persuade more passengers to board buses and trains instead of driving, easing traffic on busy roads. A genuinely sustainable transport route could shorten the average journey for everyone. However, if free travel led to overcrowding and constant delay, some vehicle owners might simply refuse to change how they reach their destination each day. Before we move on, there's a free printable workbook for this session. It's right there on your screen, and the link's in the comments too. It mirrors everything you just worked through, but with space to actually write your answers instead of just reading them. If today's session helped, that workbook is a great next step. And that's the full session. 10 more words, plus listening, reading, writing, and speaking today. Lovely work. This next part is completely optional, just a little extra if you're up for it. There's a short video about car sharing, plus a mini challenge. Find 3 new words from it, write a sentence with each, and explain how sharing a vehicle could make travel more sustainable in your own city. Only if you want more. Before you go, a quick look at what's here. These are extra Spark Sky Tech tools if you'd like to go deeper on a specific skill. The reading and listening resources sharpen those 2 skills specifically, the vocabulary builder and grammar guide help outside of session time, and the preparation hub and free resources page are worth a click whenever you want a broader refresher. No pressure to open any of them today, they'll be here whenever you need them. Down here in the footer, you'll find links to every skill hub, the full study journey series, and our Facebook group and YouTube channel if you want more support along the way. Before you close this tab, write your answers out instead of just thinking them, and if this helped, share it with a friend and subscribe on YouTube. Up next, Session 7. See you there.